everybody, how are you doing today? So if you're a tourist and you want to come to London, there's one thing you should know, and that is London is crazy expensive. I have talked in a few of my older videos about that, so there'll be links on the side and below for you to find out how expensive. But if you're a tourist, maybe you can come here and discover London on a budget, or at least not spend as much money so that you leave and cannot eat at home again for a month. So today I'm going to share with you a few tips about, cool things to do in London cheap. Okay, so the first thing you want to think about when you come to London is, where am I going to sleep, right? So if you do not know anyone at all at whose house or flat you can crash, then you're going to go into a hotel. You can do, hostels and, cheap hotels and all of this, but in case you don't know, there is an app that is super helpful, and it's called Airbnb. I'll put the link down below where you can download it or whatever. And actually, I've used it quite a few times. Loads of my friends have used it, and it's super helpful because basically you can rent a room or a bed in someone else's house. It's all super safe, so don't worry. But basically, the prices are much cheaper than when you go through a hotel, and it just saves you a lot of money. Of course, you're not going to have the luxury of waking up in a massive bed and having breakfast served every morning at the breakfast buffet, but you have a nice flat. It's certified, it's safe, that will be most likely very central, and you'll save, I want to say, £30–40 a night, so that is quite good. And then you want to think about, okay, so how am I going to get around this massive beast of a town? London is huge, especially if you're from a smaller city or the countryside like me. So yes, you can take the tube and you can take the bus, and you can also take a taxi, and then you can spend loads of money. The tube and the bus are probably the better ways to get around. What I want to say is, if you want to use the tube, and you will because you're going to cover big distances, do buy yourself a visitor's Oyster card. The prices for an Oyster card are much cheaper than buying new tickets every time you travel. And that kind of leads me on nicely to the next point. So if you're not using the tube, you're of course going to use the bus. And actually, I would recommend using the bus more often if you want to see really cool attractions. You can sit on the top. We have double-decker buses, and you can sit on the top, and if you take the tube, for example, I don't know, from Westminster to Trafalgar Square or Piccadilly or something like that, it will randomly take you past Big Ben and London Eye and Downing Street number 10 and all of these sites, and you can kind of drive by them for free. So if you take the bus, it will be cheaper, and you'll probably see a lot of sites for free rather than paying crazy amounts of money for one of those open deck tour buses. Do not use them. Use a normal bus. You'll pay £1.50 or something per ride, and I think those tourist buses are, I don't even know how much they cost, but they're ridiculous. Don't use them. Use normal buses and sit on the top. And also, if you actually don't want to take the tube or the bus at all, you can just walk. Some of the tube stops look probably further away than they actually are if you're walking. So for example, you can very easily walk all the way from Marble Arch to Oxford Circus or to Tottenham Court Road. You can walk that distance in, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes. You can see loads of cool shops, and you do not need to take the tube. The Central Line, the red one in the center, you can walk all of that distance, and there's a lot of other distances that you can walk. So try and find out before. There's a lot of things that you can actually see and walk there. For example, you can walk from Camden Town Station all the way to Primrose Hill in 15 minutes. So think about maybe walking as well, and then you'll see things, and you're not on the underground all the time. Talking about free things to do and see, there are loads. You do not need to pay massive amounts of entry fees for stuff you want to do or see, or queue up 3 hours for Madame Tussauds. Don't worry about that unless you really want to see it. But there's loads of stuff that you can see for free. If you Google it, the internet will give you a massive list of free things, but my number one top choices would be British Museum, it's for free, the National Gallery, it's on Trafalgar Square and it's also for free, and then of course all the parks, Primrose Hill, I don't know how often I talk about it, but All of these sites are for free completely, and you can go there and you can see art and sculptures and exhibitions for free, and that is great. And then of course we all have to eat. Eating is probably slightly more expensive, but I would like to think instead of going to a coffee shop for breakfast, a restaurant for brunch or lunch, and another restaurant for dinner, visit London's beautiful food and street food markets. If you follow my Instagram and you know all of these, you'll see loads of tips and you know of different markets and places to try. But I guess the most famous one is Borough Market. I talked about it many times. You'll find cheap-ish food, street food there, and then also my home Camden, Camden Lock Market now changed his name to Camden Kerb, so K-E-R-B Market. It's again a wonderful street food market where you'll find cheap food, you know, for every sort of area of the day, and yeah, it'll save you restaurant bills because food is expensive, especially if you're a tourist. You probably don't know which restaurants are tourist traps and which ones are real. So the street food markets, they are for real, and the food is cheap. If you want to see more tips, daily tips, follow my Instagram and also follow my Hype profile. I will put all of the links down below, or actually you can see like the symbols up here as well. And thank you very much for watching. Let me know below, you know, if you've ever tried London on a budget, or let me know below which is the most expensive city you've ever been to. I would love to read those. And then of course, thank you so much for watching. I make new videos every Thursday. I can't wait to see you again next week. Please subscribe, and that's it. Goodbye.